evening and hello, everyone, and thank you for watching another episode of Boss Talk. I'm your host, Beverly Brister, and this evening I have the pleasure of speaking with Kimberly Kiner, who's the president of IBP Companies, LLC. She's always had a passion for science, which allowed her to have a 25-year career in the pharmaceutical industry. And during that time, she's also dedicated herself to God through teaching and ministry. But it was a transformational moment that led her to launch her business, her self care product line, and most recently published the book Invisible but Powerful, a woman's devotional guide to unleashing peace, power, and protection from within. Please welcome my dear friend, Kimberly Kiner.
Hi,
Kimberly, how are
Beverly.
you?
I'm good. It's such an honor to be on this show.
Thank you. Thank you. Such an honor to have you. I'm so excited. And let me just say, I am so proud of all the things that you're doing and your launch and everything. I had the pleasure of being with Kimberly a couple of weeks ago at the launch of her book, Invisible but Powerful. So I had to order it because it was in such demand. Believe it.
We
I
sold
tell you,
out.
I was in line and she sold out. So I had to order mine on Amazon. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm just so happy and proud of all the things that you're doing. I just wanted
Oh,
to say that from the top. So
thanks so much, Beverly.
thank you. So let's get started. When you started in your career, you actually wanted to be a pharmacist when you started out. Is that correct?
Yes. Actually, it really wasn't. It was more of college than a career. So when I started college, that was my dream to be a pharmacist.
Mm.
And I majored in pharmacy. I got accepted to Rutgers University, and I majored in pharmacy. Wasn't doing very well in the pharmaceutical courses, and I just decided after a few years to cut my losses and switch my major from pharmacy to biology, which was a much better choice for me.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Interesting. And so what what drew you to that? I
To
know you have a
pharmacy,
love of I know you have a love of science.
science, yeah. I mean, I just had a passion for science. I always did very well in the sciences growing up. It was the curiosity for nature, anything science related. I was just very interested in,
Mm.
um, and it was something that just came natural for me. I didn't have to struggle with science until I went to Rutgers and started taking chemistry classes, and that's when I realized maybe the chemistry part is not for me.
Mm.
Inorganic is not for me. Medicinal chemistry is not for me. But the biology is the studying the body, studying ecology, studying that was a lot more interesting than more of the chemistry related
Mm.
courses.
Interesting.
Hmm.
And so then as you go through, you graduate and you start working in your field, and then that kind of led you to doing some auditing for the FDA. Can you tell us
Yes,
a little bit about how that happened?
yes. Well, what happened is my senior year at Rutgers, you know, you're trying to, as a senior, you're trying to get out there, get your name out there, get a job after you graduate. And what I did is I went to as many career fairs as I could,
Hmm.
and FDA was part of that career fair. One of the major career fairs that I attended, it was a minority career fair, and the director at the time, she's no longer at FDA, but she was a director at the New Jersey district. She was there, and I had a great conversation with her, and I gave her my resume. And it wasn't so simple to get into the government. they kind of sat on my resume for quite some time. And what I did is I pretty much contacted them every day until my resume got seen and was shifted from the bottom to the top of the pile. So that's how I got into it. Was just persistence. Everyone asked me, well, how did you even get into FDA? Persistence. Do
Now,
you mean?
we didn't even get to the boss tips yet, but I'll just say that that's a boss tip right there. You have to be persistent in anything that you want to pursue. So that is key.
Yes, yes. And so that's how I got into FDA. And they in FDA they call them actually consumer safety officers or investigators.
Okay.
Um, they're some people in the industry they say inspectors, but they're really FDA investigators.
Okay. All right. And I know you've enjoyed a successful career there and you've continued to move on. And
Yes,
then you launched your own firm, 2K Clinical Consulting Inc. And kind of
yes,
branched off and did your own.
yes.
Talk about
Um,
that.
well, what happened is after FDA, after really, I think anyone who works at FDA, you have many opportunities made available to you. So
Mhm.
I worked in the pharmaceutical area, in medical devices. I've worked in pharmaceutical. I worked for a CRO, and I realized that, after having, and this was before a family. So after having my first son, I wanted to spend more time with him. So I wanted to be more flexible, have a more flexible work schedule. And initially, the thought was to be a stay-at-home mom. That wasn't working out for me. That wasn't working out for me. I realized that no, I worked this hard to get this degree. I'm surely not going to be doing this for the rest of my life. And it was just difficult
Mm,
because I was used to working.
right.
So I went back out into the industry. I went back out into the workforce, but I wanted, like I said, I wanted to have that flexible schedule. And that's when I was hired by an agency who was able to offer me that flexible schedule. But
Mm,
um, they said that I had to create my company. I had to create it. I had to work under my company in order to be an independent consultant.
that
So
1099 situation.
that's 9. Yes, yes,
I know well.
yes. So that's how 2K Clinical Consulting was born.
It's a blessing in disguise, and it's like it seems like, oh, more paperwork. Oh, why do I have to do it? Why do I have to claim it this way? But you
Yeah.
know, it's like God just kind of sets you up.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Hmm.
such a blessing. And now, in doing that, and you continue to work through your company, and then the
Yeah.
winds of change started to blow a little bit, and you kind of had to rethink a direction that you were going in. Is that
Right. Right. When I worked in my business
Mhm.
as a consultant, there was also, as things start to change in the industry,
Hmm.
I think there was a lot of instability going on within the industry, and I had to reconsider going into another full time.
Hmm.
And that's when I started getting back into the pharmaceutical. But I still didn't get rid of 2K. Um, I still do that, whether it's training people about how to prepare for
Hmm.
FDA inspections. And I think the transformation really started when I was trying to find my true purpose in life. And I felt like, in a way, I was kind of blowing with the wind. I had this void, this emptiness that I was, I was kind of searching for more. And that's when I really started to get in touch with God more in the church, started becoming more active in the church, and just God, having that relationship with God, getting deeper with Him, that's when He started to speak to me about things that I wasn't used to, at least things that I didn't want to do. When you say, "Hey God, what is my purpose? Why am I here?" And then He speaks, sometimes it's not what you want to hear.
Right.
So, so
Be
what he
careful when you ask that question.
be careful. So his response to me was, "I want you to teach to children." And
Mm,
and then he was speaking to another one, at the time it was a deacon in the church, about me leading a women's ministry. And
mm.
I'm like, I like neither. I'm not into children, but I think that was before children. But I wasn't into children, but I realized that how much I love teaching,
Right,
which is why I still do it now.
right,
Um,
right.
and then the women can be a little something. We know,
We
but
know.
but this ministry was so different. It was a substance abuse ministry, and it, overall it was one for women. We were separated, men from the women, because at one point the it was like a co-ed situation where we all were in one room, and the men were just sharing. They had so much to share, and the women were just kind of fading in the background. And that's that invisible but powerful thing. Women were fading in the background and not really speaking much. So then the Lord placed it on the director's heart to talk to me about leading the women's group separately from the men. And I was a little hesitant because one, I'm not, I'm not a minister. I'm not a deacon, deaconess. I'm just a regular member that's, enjoying this ministry.
Right.
I'm not trying to be a leader of women, but it was truly a blessing. It really was. I've learned so much through speaking with women. I learned that it was beyond the substance abuse. It was about women that were struggling with um, being physically abused. They
Mm,
were struggling with husbands that were drug addicts themselves, and they were single moms trying to raise 4 or 5 kids by themselves. There were a
mm.
lot of issues that were just being shared
Wow.
by the women being separate.
Mm,
So
mm,
that was like my true transformation, um, in regards to how God shifted me from science, being that science person. And I also started teaching because now, I've been being a Sunday school teacher for kids for
mhm,
almost 30 years now. So, and that was because of my love for teaching. So,
mm.
so yeah, that was my transformation moment, is really God, when me asking the question, what is my purpose? And him answering it. So,
Right.
so yeah.
And it's about obedience too, because you asked, he gave you an answer, and
Yeah.
you didn't exactly at the time agree or want to
No, I
go with
didn't.
the answer,
Well, I
but
I don't think I
you
had a
were
choice.
obedient to it.
I don't think I had a choice. It was just like writing this book. I didn't have a choice. It took me 10 years to write it. But and that's because I was a little hesitant about writing. Some of those testimonies in that book are mine. And oh goodness, I did not want to make myself so vulnerable and allow people to see me in a different light.
Mm, mm. And through your vulnerability and your past experiences and being obedient, it just, it's amazing how God uses all of that to have you fulfill a purpose, which in essence is your purpose too.
Yes.
And now, you've birthed the company you've birthed the ministries. So you have
Right.
uh, your ministry along with this. So let's talk about how that came about too.
IBP Ministries. Well,
Mhm.
I call them the twins, actually. It's really IBP companies,
Mhm.
and they're under two brands. So 2K Clinical is like the teenager now because that was like in 2008.
Right.
And now there's IBP Companies, which it's more recent, it's like last year. And
Mhm.
IBP Ministries was totally about the book.
Mm.
Um, and I think it started on a prior Facebook page because I just wanted to encourage women. I just wanted to have inspirational quotes. I wanted to give some little snippets about the book I was writing.
Mhm.
I called it Words of Wisdom Wednesday. And
Mm.
we'll talk about those links later. But yeah, it was really about the ministry part of it, but also it was about the self-care part of it.
Mm.
Because what I realized in writing the book is that we as women don't care for ourselves enough. And I'm included. Sometimes we do so much for everyone else, our kids, our
Yeah.
husband, our spouse, our significant others. We do so much for everyone else, and we often neglect ourselves. So that's where IBP Ministries was the book, and then IBP Inner Beauty Peace was more of I call it IBP Wellness, but its Inner Beauty Peace was more of the fragrances and the self care line.
Okay. The inner beauty piece. That's the
It's
perfect name for
it's
it.
still IBP. There's it's IBP companies. One is invisible but powerful, and the other is Inner Beauty Peace. Inner Beauty and Peace.
Yes, the twins.
The twins. Yes.
And so
Yes.
let's show and talk about your self-care uh, wellness line.
Yes. This is actually it's continuing to evolve. Um, I it started out as oils, like different fragrances, and I started to blend different types. I blend three different types of oils. It was like I just communing with God, and He told me exactly what to do and how to name these different oils. So every month I have a new oil or a new
Mm,
fragrance, not a new oil, but a new fragrance.
okay.
February, I started in February, and February was called Love and Roses. It was about Valentine's, love,
Mhm.
and then it has the smell of roses. And then March, which was Women's Month this past month, I did empowerment, and that's the one that you see at the top,
Mm,
um, really at the more in the middle. That's with the black sticks.
okay.
That's called empowerment, and it's more of a stronger scent. It has like a minty type of citrusy type of blend. And then I also launched lavender oasis, which is something that's supposed to be more relaxing, just a combination of lavender, vanilla, and some other types of oils. So at the bottom of that, you see it looks like little droppers, the pink
Hmm.
bottles. Those are concentrated fragrance oils, and a lot of people like those are my best sellers actually because they a lot of people use that for their diffusers or their wax warmers. Instead
Mm,
of wax, they use those fragrance oils, and those are skin safe. So they can also be used, in combination with your lotions or your body butters. It's a really good scent.
okay. And I see when at that particular event you were at where you were showcasing your self-care line, Miss New Jersey stopped by.
Yes, yes, it was such a blessing to see. We were celebrating. This was February, so it was Heart Month, and we were at the Y in Princeton, and it was great. They allowed the vendors to come in at no cost
Mm,
and just you know showcase our products. And Miss New Jersey walks in, and I just looked at the boots because they're all crystal, and I'm like, wow, those are beautiful. And then I didn't even realize that was Miss New Jersey. So yeah, that was me taking a picture with her. And I don't know if I showed you the other picture, but she was also advertising. She liked that one that I had said was my bestseller, the little
Yeah,
concert free.
yes.
I also gave that to her, and she had posted that. She was promoting that on her page as well.
Mm. Well, you got some publicity. She just walked right in, started promoting for you. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Yeah,
So,
well, I think what it is that when people walk in, I like, do you like fragrances? And then I have those sticks, and I don't know if I have one right behind me. So I would have this stick, and I would say, hey, smell this. And I would, bring it up to their noses, and then, oh, smell this one. And then the last would be like the Love and Roses. And they would be, oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
mm,
So that's how I knew
mm.
that would be my bestseller. The Love and
Okay.
Roses.
Love and roses.
Love and Roses.
So let me go back a little bit because
Yeah.
we kind of touched on the book a little bit, but it's one thing to have the courage to step out on faith, to be obedient to God and step out on faith, and you have your business, you start your ministry, but it's a whole other thing for you to now write a book that includes your personal story in it, some of your personal story, and
Yes.
to kind of put it out there, um, and to have it just come from you, and just knowing that it's a blessing, it's going to be a blessing, but it's also a scary thing because you're kind of like a book, you're opening yourself up to the world. So
Yes.
let's talk about that a little bit.
Oh goodness. Uh what's the question? Because yes, I did open myself up in that book. And it wasn't just me. I had other women um who had helped to write in regards to their testimonies, because some things I can't relate to,
Right.
but there are other women who can. But yeah, it was a challenge. Even at the book launch, you saw I was just crying my eyes out because I'll mention it. Hopefully I don't get so emotional. But um, my testimony was about being suicidal, and everyone has a traumatic experience. So I would say either addicted but powerful, abused but powerful. Mine was suicidal but powerful. And I didn't want to read it. I didn't even want to write it. But um, like I said before, and like God said, someone needed to hear that, because I felt like in my thoughts that I was alone in this, that I was in silence, suffering in silence. And there are other women who are suffering as well. So someone needed to be encouraged, someone needed to be inspired by that testimony, and know that God, it's not the way out. That God is always there, and you're there. We are all here for a reason and for a purpose. And you don't ever want to make that decision on your own to take yourself out and do God's job.
Right. Right. That's so powerful. And every your words have always been so powerful. And even though the title says invisible but powerful, to me,
Mhm.
you've never been invisible. You've always been present. You're it's a quiet power.
Right.
And sometimes that's even stronger than the powerful folks that make a lot of noise because it's stealth, you
Yeah,
know.
I
And
agree with
some
that.
people don't understand that, but it's a lot of power in that. And
Hmm.
your book, it's also a devotional for women. It
Right.
has, like you mentioned, it has scripture and it has parts where they can follow along and take notes as well. Is that correct?
Yes. What it is um, it's more of a, like you say, the weekly devotional. I think that's how it started, and
Mm,
then it started to, like I say, evolve into something more, and that included the testimonials. And after all the testimonials, I believe there's 11 of them.
mm,
After all the testimonials, then there's space for the reader to have her testimony, to write in her testimony, or to have or journal in her testimony as well, because there's healing in that.
right, right. And I can imagine for those that got the book, and I do have my copy here, but like I mentioned, I had to order it on Amazon. So it just came this week.
Oh,
So I
nice.
dig into it. But I can imagine you've probably already received some positive feedback and just people, just being touched in such a way from what they've read, even if they haven't completed it, just from what you've presented in the book. I can only imagine
Hmm.
some of the feedback you've gotten from that.
Yeah. Actually, it was pretty. Like, it recently launched, what, a couple of weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and just receiving the feedback was kind of overwhelming. But it's like I didn't know that it would go this far. And I have received so many comments
Mm,
from women saying how phenomenal the book was and how relatable it was. Not only to Christian women, it was relatable to all women who feel invisible, or who feel
mm,
like they're fading in the background and they're neglecting to take care of themselves.
wow. Wow. And it's going to continue to grow and touch people in such a mighty and a powerful way. This book, this devotional is needed. Your ministry is needed. And
Right,
I
right.
definitely appreciate you. I always like to give flowers for people while they're here. And, I appreciate you. I thank you for writing this book, because there's so many of us that, and for your product line, because we have to
Mm-hmm.
take care of ourselves, we the nurturers, but also
Mm-hmm.
that we're connected to other people that have gone through our experiences and need to know how we can deal with that, how we can get connected to other people or resources to go beyond the situation and just
Absolutely.
grow. So this is
Absolutely.
needed. Thank you for it.
Mm-hmm. And I told you it took 10 years, right?
Hmm.
So I think and someone asked me, well, what was the challenge, or what was the challenge in doing this book? And I said, just finishing it,
Right.
because I, I, I really didn't want to write it, but
Hmm.
I didn't, it's not like I had a choice, but it's about being obedient, really,
Right.
and doing
Right.
what God has. I knew it was a reason behind it. I just didn't really consider myself a writer. I am now, like someone told me, you are now,
Right.
but but I think what really catapulted me, getting up at 4 in the morning every morning to write, was when he told me, for every day, for every minute you procrastinate, is a day or a minute that a woman who's being abused does not have the book to encourage them, or a woman who's contemplating suicide does not
Mm.
have the book. And then he even, because I'm a visual person, visual learner, he
Wow.
started showing me all of these women from all over the world who were abused.
Mm.
Someone getting abused, someone with a bruised face, someone who was about to jump off a ledge. And I'm like, I don't need to see anymore.
Right.
Just let
Right.
me get, I'll finish it. I'll finish it.
Mm. Wow. Talk about lighting a fire.
He has to do that. He knows his children, and
Right.
he has to do that to me a few times.
That's a beautiful thing that you had to, you finally got up and said, all right, Lord, all right.
I had to take a hiatus. I had to start just really focusing on getting the book done. And people would tell me I was doing the ministry over the phone. When we weren't on site anymore, we
Mhm.
would do it over the phone. And
Mm,
after a while, I said, I need to take a hiatus. I need to take a hiatus, and I need to get this book done.
right, right. And wow, thank you for it. And, thank you for being obedient. People's lives are at stake here, in all seriousness.
Yeah.
And this book can help save lives, definitely save
Wow.
lives.
I
So,
guess I didn't think of it that way, but wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, with all of the experiences you've had, you've published the book, the devotional, your self care line, and all the things that you've experienced, those are all boss moves. I can imagine you have many things that you can share for people wanting to also publish a book or start a business or even start their own line of product. What
Hmm.
are at least three boss tips you can share?
Well, the first one we talked about is
Mhm.
being persistent.
Right.
Um, Definitely have to stick with it and be disciplined in whatever you do, especially if it's for the Lord. You have to focus. It is a reason why He's telling you to do something.
Mm.
Stick with it. It may take you a while, but just know that it's for the greater good.
Mm.
Um, and most importantly, second thing is allow God to lead. So I had to. A lot of people were wondering, well, how did you write all of this? Like I said, getting up 4 in the morning and spending real time with Him, and that
Mm.
included prayer time. It included reading the scriptures, but it,
Mm.
it also included a lot of meditation. And I think meditation is I think it's not used as often as it should, because I think I heard someone talk about how prayer is you talking to God,
Mhm.
but meditation is Him talking to you.
Right.
And
Right.
that's when when I meditated, and I just really was just so quiet and I just listened. That's when I received so much. Um,
Mm.
so I'd say, let God lead. Let Him tell you exactly what to do, because He knows everything. He
Right.
knows it all. He knows your life before you do. He knows whether you're going down the wrong or right path. So let Him lead. Um,
Mm.
and the third is, I think the third is kind of tied into the persistence, but um, don't give up. I guess that's part of the persistent. There will be times where you will fail, um, where you will get tired and you will get overwhelmed. I think I had a couple of anxiety attacks, but it's the beauty, and it is all linked to God, because the beauty in that is that He's telling you, I'm with you. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. I'm with you. I'm here. Don't worry about anything else. Like I say, let Him lead. That's the most
Mhm.
ultimate thing, is letting Him lead, and
Wow.
not looking at, like Peter, looking at the waves that's about to swallow you up, but focus on Christ, and focus on how God is um, making the situation a better situation. So, one, what did I say? One, be persistent.
Persistent.
Two, let God lead. That pretty much should be one, but let God lead. And three, don't give up. I guess that's kind of like persistence, but and yeah, I guess that's part of discipline.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Those are great boss tips, and it's true. For those of us that are spiritual and that believe in God, let Him lead. Having to let Him lead, and it sounds like you're giving up or scary or something, but really, like you said, He does know. He knows us, and He knows our path, and so just letting Him lead, you find blessings in that, and it's it's a beautiful thing. It might be a tough path, but it's blessings all along the way.
Right.
We are living testament to that. So thank you, Kimberly, so much for all that you've shared, for your book, for your business, for your ministry. Um, and I thank you for this time. And even in this, it'll continue to be on the feed. So anyone
Mhm.
who's missed it, they can always go back and find it on the different platforms. But, again, it's blessing people. And let me pull up your book again, Invisible but Powerful. It's available on Amazon. Just look for the book title or look for Kimberly Kiner, Kimberly M. Kiner, and share with us where else we can find you online.
Well, I am also on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I have write IBP book at IBP book. I just created that page for focusing primarily on the book. I
Mm-hmm.
also have a Facebook group called Invisible but Powerful. It used to be called Women of Purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So with that group, it is a private group. So you can ask to join,
Mm-hmm.
but we're always accepting people every day. And with that, we have encouraging quotes, and we try to encourage one another in that group. We have questions of the day, and then we have our little chats. It used to be weekly, but now we're doing it monthly.
Okay.
And then there's Instagram, IBP Ministry 3, and then there's IBP for the inner beauty piece. That's IBP company or CO 23,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the Etsy. There's
You're all over the place.
there's Etsy, as you can see, inner beauty piece collections at Etsy.com, and
And of
I
course, the book is available on
is
Amazon.
available on Amazon.
Okay.
And it is available the ebook, paperback, and also hardcover. And I am working on an audible as well, because I really want to, since it does have the meditation piece in there, I wanted to also include like more of an audio to that.
Okay. All right. And uh, someone made sure they put the direct link to your Amazon book.
Oh, Tina,
You
I
have
love you.
your crew working for you. So I'll make sure to put the link in the comments so people can go directly to it. So again, thank you so much, Kimberly. It's the time of just having the time to just speak with you and just learn more about your background, even though I know you, but letting everyone else learn about you is just this book and your ministry. I appreciate it. Thank you
Well,
so much.
I appreciate the invite. I remember when you invited me, and I'm like, what do I have to talk about? And
Yep.
you're like, aren't you promoting a book? I don't know. That's that invisible part. But but yeah, thank you. This is such an amazing show. It really is. I look at your archived shows. I applaud you,
Thank you.
for
Thank you.
being who you are. You're like doing it, Beverly.
Thank you. I'm trying. Just doing. I'm just being the vessel.
Oh, yeah. I guess we all are, right? We're the
Yeah, yeah,
vessel, and
yeah,
we're here to do whatever the Lord tells us to do.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate this time, and we will talk again. Thank you, everyone, for watching.